now that you've completed your pre-instructional self-portrait, we want to start by breaking down the self-portrait. Rather than just saying, draw the picture, I want to give you pieces that you can start with that make it just a little bit easier for you to work with. We're going to start with the proportions. Some things to know about the proportions are that these are in general. This is not what you actually look like or I actually look like. This is just the placement and setup of each part of your face. So we're going to get more into details with the eyes and the nose and even the ears. But for right now, we want to know where those things are and how big they are when you draw them down. So you have a 2-page spread in your packet. Just for the sake of knowing which page we're talking about, we're going to label the page with the face already on it. You can just call that Jilly. And I'll go over that with marker so you can see it a little bit better. Hopefully you can see that. And then the side that doesn't have anything, we're also going to be drawing this face, but we're going to draw it from the beginning to the end. So this side on your right, you're going to call Seth. So you may hear me talk about Jilly or Seth, and you want to just go to that side of the page as we're working. Something that may help you is if you haven't already, if I take a note, it will help you if you take a note. So you want to have these things written down as well. So the first thing I think I'm going to do is work in marker. I'm going to get a ruler because there's something I want you to see. And what I want you to see is that your face is actually symmetrical. If you look down one side and the other side, you're going to get the same things. Now that doesn't mean that everything is identical. What it means is you have an eyebrow on each side, you have an eye on each side, a nostril, you have ears. So you do want to know that your face is symmetrical, although it's not exact. Okay. The next thing you want to know is if you look at the top of your head compared to the bottom of your chin, is that your face is not round. A lot of times in kindergarten, when you first draw your first ever self-portrait, people tend to draw it as a circular face. But you actually have space at the top of your head for your brain to fit in. And then as you go down the side of your face, it actually gets smaller because you don't need that much space for your mouth. So your face is actually what we call egg-shaped, which means that it's bigger at the top and smaller at the bottom. What you to do on Seth's side of the page is try and draw that out. Instead of drawing that circle face that we're all used to, I want you to try and draw a little bit bigger on the top and smaller on the bottom. Now, something you definitely want to avoid is making that too long. So you definitely don't want to have the circle face, but you also don't want to be an alien. So make sure that you kind of get it. Look in the mirror, look at the shape of your face, but you want to try and get bigger on the top, smaller on the bottom, and still looking sort of like a human. Now we're also going to take Seth's side of the page and draw that line of symmetry down. That's going to be important for when we place all of our features. With this, you want to make sure that you follow these steps in order because each feature will lead into the next one. So if you have that line of symmetry, then you're able to figure out the rest of the features. So we're going to go on to working with your eyes. Your eyes are surprisingly the center of your face. This is something that a lot of people get confused with. If we go back to that kindergarten drawing, for some reason everybody thinks that the top of their eyes are at the top of their head. But if you put your hand over your forehead, if you put your hand over your forehead and look out, you'll notice that you can still see. The reason we always try and draw our eyes at the top is because it's the topmost place where we see from, and so we just assume that that's the top. But really, if you took your finger and you put it at the top of your face and you took your other finger and put it at the bottom of your chin, and we move those together at the same speed, they will actually hit right in the center of your eyes because your eyes are the center of your face. So ignore some of these lines, we'll get to them later, but you want to have that center line and you want to know that your eyes, actually the center of your eyes, is equal to the center of your face. So if we were going from Jilly's side, so the center of your eyes is equal to the center of your face. If we were going from Jilly's side and we move over to Seth, we do the same thing from the top of the head to the bottom of the chin, and then you move it together, you'll get the center of your face, and you know that that line's going to become your center line. Now from the eyes, you can actually get many other features. So the next one you want to know about is where to place your nose. Your nose is actually the center of your eyes and your chin. So if you're looking here and we bring that together slowly, you're going to get the bottom line from your nose. So we would just draw that line across, and then we would know, this is really important to know, with your eyes it was the center. This is actually the bottom of your nose. The bottom of your nose is equal to the center of your eyes and chin. And then when you go over to Seth, it's the same thing again. We find the center of our eyes and the bottom of our chin. We move them together at the same speed, and you'll get the bottom of your nose. So what we're doing with Jilly is we're taking the notes so you know where things should be. With Seth, we're redrawing it so you have it with just your drawing, and it's easy to always reproduce. As an artist, it's something that's really helpful to start with these guidelines and then move on from there. Next thing is the bottom of your lips. People put their lips all over the place. So we want to start by figuring out where they go. So again, it's the center of the bottom of your nose this time and the bottom of your chin. And if you move those together slowly, you'll get the bottom of your lips. And that's really important again to note that it is the bottom of your lips. So the bottom of lips are equal to the center of the bottom of your nose and your chin. We move over to Seth, and from the bottom of the nose to the bottom of the chin, we bring those together, and that's going to give you the space for your lips. So each of these things represents a feature on your face. Now, that's great. We now know where to place them, but there's also proportions that tell us the size of them. So you can actually figure out how big your eyes need to be on that paper. So as I'm looking here, something to note is that the space between your eyes are actually equal to the size of your eyes. And when you're looking straight forward, just because of the way that pictures work out, the space between your eyes and your ears in a photograph, when you're looking forward, when you're looking at the mirror, will also be the same size as your eyes. So what we say with that is that you have your face equals 5 equal eye spaces. And that's going to help us with the placement of all of our features. So just like we knew where the placement of the eyes were, now we can figure out the size of everything else as well. So with these 5 equal eyes, I know it's going to seem a little bit weird, but on Seth's side, you want to do the same thing. Now, you can kind of eyeball it just for our sketch. Some people do like to get the ruler out and measure it, but what I always say is just kind of do 5 spaces that are about equal to each other. I always start with that center eye because that's one that's going to be really important to us. Now we are going to have a lesson where you're going to get the whole detail of the eye, but for right now, just draw some eyes with a little pupil in the center. I know it's crazy looking, but we just need the placement and we need to have the pupils in that center part. Now, with your, back over to Jilly, with your eye space, something interesting to know is that the size of the bottom of your nose is actually equal to the space in between your eyes, which means the size of your nose is equal to your eyes. So you could test this out with your own ruler, but I'm just going to draw it out here. Now again, with general proportions, this may be about correct for you. It may be a little bit off. Your nose may be a slightly bit bigger or a slightly bit smaller, but it's not going to be a huge difference. So if you see that there is a difference, it's still going to be pretty close. So your nose size is actually equal to your eye size. And we'll do the same thing here. Now these aren't lines that exist when you actually draw your self-portrait. These are things that we're going to erase later, but it gives us the guides for where we're going to put those actual features. So right now we've got our eye spaces, we've got our nose spaces, and there actually is a rule for your mouth as well. So looking back over at Jilly, something interesting to note is that your eyes will also dictate the size of your mouth. The corners of your lips go all the way out to your pupils. They're actually in line with each other when you're just looking straight ahead. Now, if you were to smile or you were to do your face in a different position, it would be a little bit different. But when we're looking facing forward, that's going to match up as much as possible. So So when we go over here, over to Seth, oh, I didn't write that. So your corner of lips, forgot to take that note, your corner of your lips are equal to your pupils. And we'll talk more about why that doesn't make your lips look gigantic, because some people think that it does, but really you'll see why when we get to the lips. So again, over here with Seth, we want to draw those lines down from our pupils, and that'll give us our mouth space. All right, the next thing that we're able to get from the eyes, nose, and mouth is actually your ear size. Even though some of us have huge ears and some of us have small ears, our ears are actually in proportion to our face. If you were to take your fingers and put them at the top of your ear and the bottom of your ear, and then bring them forward to the front of your face, what you would notice is that your ears are actually equal from the top of your eyes, so this time it's the top of your eyes, to the bottom of your nose. So we'll take that note over here. Ears are equal to the top of your eyes to the bottom of your nose. For right now, just to get that in there for Seth, you want to get just a line that goes up to the top of your eyes and then down to the bottom of your nose. Now, again, we will have an ear day that's coming, so don't worry about super details. You just don't want to make it like the whole size of your page. Your ears are going to be actually a little bit smaller than you would think when you're looking straight forward. All right. Couple more things, and then we'll be done with our proportions. When you look at your neck, I want to show you just a couple of mistakes that some people make. We draw our faces, and then they either think that they have this lollipop neck, that it just comes down straight from the chin. But if your neck looks like that, your face would wobble around because it wouldn't be able to hold up substantially enough. The other mistake that we get is the bodybuilder neck. Now, you all are super strong, and that's wonderful, but you don't have a bodybuilder neck. So you want to look for where your neck actually starts. If you were to put your fingers or your hands on either side of your neck, you'd actually be able to see that it doesn't come from behind your ears. It's actually a little bit farther down. Now, also, if you were to let your hands just kind of slide down, you'll notice that it's not straight up and down either. So when you go to draw your neck, you want to come down maybe in this picture like 1/4 of an inch from your bottom of your ear, and you want to have it kind of curve down. And so the same thing can happen over here with Seth. Just have it curve down. You do want your neck to come down past your chin. It wouldn't make sense for it to stop before that. And then the last thing you want to know about is that a lot of people tend to draw their shoulders kind of smaller than their body. So we get something that either looks like this, where it looks like their whole body is kind of crunched up, or we get something where somebody forgot that they were at football practice and they didn't take off their shoulder pads. You don't look like either of those people. Actually, if you were to continue letting your hands slide down to your shoulders, what you'll notice is it actually kind of goes at an angle down. The other thing is that your proportions for your head and your shoulders is that if you had 3 heads, they would all fit evenly across your shoulders. So just the same way you have 5 eyes across, you actually have 3 imaginary heads across, which is kind of funny. With that, because of the size of our paper, we're just going to have that kind of go off the side of the page, because you want to remember that your shoulders are longer, they're wider than your head. So we just have that go off the page. So you want to know that your shoulders are equal to 3 heads. With Seth, we do the same thing. Let Seth's shoulders go off the page. Don't write on the desk. And then you probably just want to look at the collar line of your shirt. Notice that most shirts don't go all the way up to your chin. You're probably going to see them a little bit farther down your neck, so you can get that there. So these are the proportions of the face. This is not what you look like. This is not what I look like. This is what a person looks like in general.